Welcome to CresTV, this show where we give you industry insights and product info from everything happening here at Crestron and in the AV/UC industry. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe, ring the bell, and tell all your friends. Where have you been? Today, we're going to be doing a live link up with a good friend and an industry giant, but actually a shrinking giant these days. I can see him chuckling on the other screen now. Tim Albright. Let's cross over live to his hotel room in Minnesota, is it? You are at the moment?
Minnesota, yes. For those of you that are geographically challenged, that is the north part of the U.S. So
and there's snow.
Apparently there's snow. Yeah.
You haven't been outside yet.
I mean, yeah, if you look out the window, but it's one of these trips where you take a cab to the hotel, they drop you off, and then you take a cab to the airport. So
well, I was going to ask you about that. So obviously you've been a bit sort of travel deprived of recent, but now you're getting out. How is it getting back onto planes again and traveling again? What's that all about?
For
riding a bike.
It is, right? I mean, so you know, I'm not going to get into, especially in the U.S., any sort of political mumbo jumbo.
I don't do that.
I love what I do. I love meeting people in person. And so it's one of these things where they tell me to put a seatbelt on the airplane. Okay. You tell me to put a mask on the airplane. Okay. Just get me to where I'm going and let me do my job and let me do the job that I love. I absolutely, yeah. The last couple of years has been a bit hellacious. 21, we got a little bit of back to normalcy. I went to Infocom, right, and had some trips there. Got to go over to your fine country for a minute for the AV Awards back in November with my buddy Mr. Neto.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is my fourth trip of the year. And I'm ready to get back in the swing of things.
Yeah, I did see your thing, Tim, for Chris Zero, so we need to help him out. His count is not doing well at the moment, is it?
Yep.
And tell us what I know, but tell all of our viewers what are you doing in Minneapolis? What's going on there?
So so Crestron Next, your fine company. You guys started back in December.
Yeah, I think it probably was December.
Kind of a regional show, right? A regional traveling show. And not that you didn't have a presence at Infocom, right? The last significant AV trade show here in the States, at least. Not that you didn't have a presence, but there was no gear, right? That you talked with folks, you talked with clients and customers. This show, though, is y'all taking new gear that you've released during the pandemic, which is remarkable, and you're taking it to smaller, more intimate events for those that are really concerned about COVID and the spread of that. It gives you the opportunity to distance more, but still learn about the tech. We're still putting into classrooms and conference rooms and hospitals, right? And you're not alone in this. There are a number of other significant manufacturers who are doing a similar thing. You guys are doing it different ways, but that is taking it kind of to the regional areas here in the States. One of the things about I've learned in talking with folks, and as I've gotten to know fantastic Europeans and people from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, the United States is unique in a number of areas, and some of which I can just make fun of us being big dumb Americans. But we're fucking huge, right? Yeah. We're not as big as Russia, right? We're not as big as some other countries, but we are significantly sized geographically, right? You can jump on a train in London and in 4 hours be in Scotland. I can jump on a train in St. Louis, which is where I live on the Illinois side, and in 4 hours I'm still in the same state, right? That's how long it takes me to get to Chicago.
Isn't it? Texas is the same size as France. I think someone once said. I think
that's right. And then Alaska technically is the biggest state in the United States, right? Geographically.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to do this, right? If you're not going to do, if you're going to be, more personal, right, and you're able to bring things down to the local level. The thing about these events that y'all are doing, and others are doing as well, is you're able to get your local regional reps in front of customers, right? In front of the folks. Crestron has a couple of programs. One is called A Plus, which is how I got introduced to Infocom or to Crestron the first time. I was a technology manager, right? My A Plus rep is still a dear friend of mine. He's no longer an A Plus rep. He teaches for you guys. But that's how I got introduced. So the folks here in Minneapolis, University of Minnesota, are able to come to these events, meet their local reps, meet maybe possibly an integrator or two, and then the integrators can come to these events and meet their local rep and have conversations. Jason Molden from the Chicago office, who I've known for years, again through that program, he's up here. So you've got the local technical support as well. When you do them down in Texas, you've obviously got the Texas, the Dallas, the Plano really, but the Dallas support team there going to different areas. You had an event up in Boston, right? So there are all sorts of different regional areas that are important, not only to the States, but also, to the rest of the world. You've got a crawl going down or dead that in Europe, you guys are doing like 30, 35 stops all throughout Europe, right? Again, same kind of deal here where you're bringing it to folks regionally, whether or not they go to ISE, right? I'll be there in May. You'll be there in May. We'll get to connect and enjoy Barcelona. But if you don't go, okay, great, Ruby, stay where you are, and they'll come to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been down already, so we kind of basically take over a kind of floor of a hotel. I've seen it. What are you seeing in the industry? I mean, you talk to so many people with AVNation, both customers, partners, and suppliers. What are you hearing at the moment as the kind of trends? What are people talking about, and what are people needing with regards to where the technology needs to go?
It's a continuation of the pandemic, right? And it's
pandemic 2.0 is it?
Yeah, I guess at this point, but I am generally a glass half full guy, right? I'm generally optimistic. I think that the pandemic is winding down, this, that, and the other. But I thought that a year ago, right? And I have no problem being wrong. I've been wrong most of my life. But I do, right? I get that sense. The last variant was not nearly as bad as the one before that, and so on and so forth. But we're still kind of slowly getting people back to the office, and we're still kind of slowly getting people, back to work in an office. So you're going to have that hoteling, right? You're going to have that hot desking and whatever you want to call it, but it's where somebody walks in and they don't have a dedicated office. They have a space that they can use for the day, and then they're going to work from home 2 days, 3 days, 4 days out of the week. They have to have technology that works in both places. And ideally, you wouldn't have to pack it up in your backpack, right, or in your briefcase. You're going to walk in, you're going to scan your thing, you're going to log into the Microsoft, you're going to log into the Zooms or whatever, and this is my space for the day. And then when I leave, the cleaning crew will come in and disinfect the entire space. So so we're still keeping safe, we're still maintaining some of that cleanliness. And then when I go home, I have certain technologies that I can still do my job. Right, I've got a phone that connects to the network and connects me, or I have the ability to not just look at a laptop screen all day, but I can put it up on a big screen, right, and be used to kind of my own working styles.
Nice. And what did you? I mean, obviously you've been down and had a look at what we're showing down there. What really is kind of capturing your attention with regards to what Crestron are doing in this space and the new products that you've seen as you walked around the next event today?
There's two, and one doesn't scream classic Crestron to me, right?
Okay.
And that's the phone, right? You have Teams phones, and just a phone in general doesn't scream classic Crestron to me. But I also used to be a really bad programmer, right? So to me, Crestron still says control. But they're gorgeous, they're gorgeous pieces of equipment. I am old enough to where I still like to have a physical tactile phone. And looking and having it demonstrated this morning was kind of cool. And I'm like, I would love that, right? My day job at CTI, we're a Teams house. I'd love to have one of those suckers on my desk because that gives me something, right? I can pick it up, and if I get pissed off at somebody, I can slam it down, and it doesn't quite work to hit the button. It's not,
it's not
quite
as aggressive,
satisfying. The other part though is the Mercury products and the Mercury Mini, and I mentioned, getting folks equipment at home. You guys have done some things with having a Mercury Mini. You have a residential version, right, where it can connect to Crestron Home. If the client's running Crestron Home. So basically you've got a home office device there that you can still access the control system for your house as well. I think that's really, really smart, because you are going to have folks that are going to be continuing to work from home in some capacity or at some level. And so giving them the opportunity to have commercial grade gear in their house, in their home office is really, really smart.
Nice. Okay. It's interesting you say about the sort of Teams phone. I mean, people sort of go, phones really in 2022, but I think it's, as you say, it's more of a Teams assistant. That's an extension of your day. If you're full screen presenting your PowerPoint in Teams on your desktop of your PC or your laptop, the ability to still be able to view your chat, or to be able to chat, see people's presence, or to even just joining the call, and if you're on another Teams call, joining the, Jason always says, he uses his phone just to join another call and say, I'm running over, I'll be there in 5 minutes. But then also to be able to view the content. So if you just want to view the presentation on your phone and then still use your PC to do other stuff. But then I think the last thing is, we've all been in that situation where the PC is overloaded, and to use the PC to do your audio and video, real-time communication, real-time AV processing, depending on your laptop, depending on what you're doing, can sometimes be a bit challenging. So offloading that onto a dedicated hardware device that's designed to do audio and video, and then let your PC concentrate on being the content source, or being the email source, or the IM source, so that you don't have, I'll call you back, I just need to do a quick reboot, if you're using your headset, your PC. So I love that. Did you see the new Air Media? Was that something you saw?
I saw it in passing. So as Neil mentioned, I'm heading back down after actually you and I chat today. I saw it last week when you talked about it, but I did not get a chance to physically touch and feel it yet.
Very, very cool. And what do you think? Obviously Crestron is growing and going through a lot of changes at the moment. What do you see as the sort of future for Crestron? What's going on that you're seeing with regards to the opportunity for Crestron in the industry now at the moment?
So there's a couple of things, and I will start at the top, and that's with Dan Feldstein, right? Randy Klein did a fantastic job of being CEO when Mr. Feldstein passed away, and it was wonderful. And I think the opportunity now with Dan, being at the helm, having that legacy, right, of having the legacy of sitting where your dad sat, right? There's something there, and it's not just emotional. There is certainly emotion as well, but this is a young man who quite literally has Crestron in his blood, right? And I think it's exciting to see what he's going to be able to do with it. He's incredibly smart. Computer programmer. He's an incredibly smart engineer, and you take that aspect and just kind of see what he can do. I think it'll be really, really remarkable. And the other thing is emerging markets, right? Crestron's made a lot of good investments in Asia, in Asia Pac, as well as other emerging markets. So you look at India. India is growing by leaps and bounds every single year. And you guys have made a commitment there with having offices and support staff and support mechanisms there. I think that's really, really huge. So it'll be kind of interesting to see kind of both of these things happening at the same time. The U.S. market's not going anywhere, but AVIX has been telling us for years that Asia is going to overtake us from a simply how much money is being spent there in AV. And it hasn't passed yet. It will soon. But the U.S. market is still significant. And so I think that seeing what they do, what they take what they've learned here in the U.S. and apply it in other markets, I think will be neat as well.
Interesting. And where are you next? I guess Enterprise Connect for you, and then ISC, then Infocom.
Well, there's one small one that I'm actually getting pulled into, brand new for me as well. There's a couple. So Enterprise Connect, I'll be there, and then I'm going to NAB, which is the National Association of Broadcasters here in the States, in Vegas. Certainly ISC, but I'm also hanging out with some mutual friends of ours, PSNI.
Oh, brilliant.
Their Super Summit, which is it's a kind of a more not intimate event, but it's just for PSNI members. But we will have a public component to it with a panel of end users. So check that out and look for that. Last time we were physically in person, we did the same thing, where we were on a panel. We brought in everybody, and then we live streamed it out to kind of give people a sense of what PSNI is about.
Very, very cool. And what's going on with AVNation? What's new? Where can we see it? What's happening? What's the buzz there?
Couple things. We about a year ago we started started a new program with a young lady by the name of Amelia Coleman there in London. She is an XR and AR expert and futurist, and she started doing a podcast for us called XR Star. And she just interviewed the team that does this augmented reality system at the Natural Museum, I think, in London. Natural History, yes. Yep. You walk around and you put up your phone, and there is this interaction, and there's a voiceover, and his name just escaped me, but it's the English guy that narrates all the nature stuff. David something or other.
David Attenborough.
Yeah, that's him.
Nice.
So she just did an interview with that, so that's fascinating to me. And honestly, I said this the other day to somebody. I said I will be on the road more than I will ever have been in my life, and I am
playing catch up.
Forward to it. yeah, absolutely. I mentioned NAB. I'm also going to IBC, which is the European version of NAB.
I used to go to IBC in a former life, so I never got to go to NAB, but I used to go. Is that still at the Rye, or has that moved as well?
I think it's still at the Rye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still in Amsterdam.
Yeah. Well, it's the only place.
So where else would you do it in Amsterdam?
I mean, it's going to be interesting. Going to ISE in Barcelona. It's certainly going to be warmer than it ever was in Amsterdam. Certainly, Barcelona in that time of year is going to be better.
Yeah. And okay, so the Rye, the piece of advice I got the first time I went to the Rye, the first time I went to ISE, was don't look at the map, because looking at the map won't help you at all, right? And that's accurate. But after 2 or 3 years, I kind of felt like I had a groove, right? I had I could get certain places, and you go in the back walkway between 8 and 7, right? And you kind of figure out certain things. I got no idea what the frick I'm doing at the Fira, dude.
It's going to be new to
It'll
all
take a couple of years. It will. Well, everybody but Blackman.
Yeah. He knows where he's going. Very good. Well, fingers crossed it all happens and we don't get any more postponements. Thank you ever so much for this impromptu live link up to your bedroom. Don't
say that too loud, dude.
In the hotel. And thank you for your support of the next event here with Crestron. It's brilliant, and I look forward to seeing you in Barcelona. So very good. Thank you ever so much, Tim. Thank you all for joining us for this episode of CresTV. And say, if you are new here, hit subscribe, ring the bell, tell your friends. It is the place to be. Join us on CresTV every week, and I'll see you on the next one.